Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. And this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host. Took a lot of L's last week. This is a rough season. I think I came in like about 50%. Not good for me, but I'm going to try to rebound this week.
Okay, so you want to throw the percents out there. That Monday night game kept me from 80-some%.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That one game knocked me down to 71.4%.
That's still good, man, but 80 would have been awesome.
So, darn Nick Foles. Well, we talked about Nick Foles last week. So, all right, let's get ready to kick this thing off, Benny. We had a great last weekend of football, some spectacular plays. We'll get a chance to just reflect on that a little bit as we talk about the Bias Plus reports for week 11, and we go through all of the different teams. Now, there are a few teams that are on the bye this week, and I know you fantasy people are always interested in that. So that would be the Bills, the Bears. Is that your New York Football Giants?
Yes, sir. They're on the bye.
They're on the bye. And that's funny. Your team and my team both on the bye. My San Francisco 49ers. So on the bye, we could use a bye. We probably need 2 or 3 byes.
Well, you only get one, but you make the best of it.
Well, it's a good time to get a bye going into week 11,
That's true.
That's true. And
that's true.
The weird thing about NFC West, that's kind of like the NFC East, right? Is that the East, well, anybody can still kind of get to the first place in the division. I mean, my Niners, if they went on some type of a winning streak, they, the way that the Seahawks have been floundering, and the way that the Cardinals are rising, everybody's competitive. So I think that's the point I'm trying to make. In the losing division, everybody's still competitive. In the winning division, everybody's still somewhat competitive, even though my Niners are in last place in the division. So, all right, let's move on. Let's start to talk about this upcoming week of football. First up on the slate of games is the Thursday night game. And, we talk about the Bias Plus report, and I always talk about the intriguing game of the week when we look at these reports. And again, the Bias Plus report is how we do the matchups for pro football, NFL included. And in this particular case, our Arizona Cardinals, which I just mentioned, are at the Seattle Seahawks, which I just mentioned. So we have a NFC West division matchup, and the Bias Plus score, who would have thunk it, at 2.5 favors the Arizona Cardinals. What a game to start off Thursday night with, Ben. You can't complain about the slate of games at this point.
No, not at all. I cannot complain. This is a great matchup. Are you picking this as your intriguing game of the week?
Well, the problem with Thursday night games is I do a blog, a post.
Oh, right.
And I never get a chance to get it done before the Thursday night game. Or this might have been one. But last week was the Rams and the Seahawks. And that was already a division matchup, so I didn't want to go into the same division. Plus, we have a very intriguing number, which rarely happens, and so I'm leaning toward that game. We'll mention it when it comes up. But as we look at this game with Seattle, the one thing we know about Seattle is that they can score, because they, on our rankings, come in number 1 and points scored in the league. However, their defense is coming in at number 30. They still have the widest disparity between the rankings of their offense and the ranking of their defense in the entire league. 30th is down there. Let me take a quick look. 30th is down there, Ben, between Denver and Detroit. That's the neighborhood of defense there. Right below them is the Jets, and right above Denver is Houston. Atlanta is giving up less points than the Seahawks. And then you have your Arizona Cardinals coming in, really balanced looking, ranking 6th on offense and 8th on defense. So they're legitimately a favorite squad. Who you got?
Well, sir, this is how I'm looking at it, okay? Last week versus the Rams, Russell had a fumble, 2 interceptions, and didn't throw any touchdown passes. And their ground game was held in check. Kyler Murray, on the other hand, last week played the Bills, gave them fits. It was crazy. Threw for a touchdown, ran for 2 more. But I went back because these two teams are in the same division. They played each other previously back in week 7. Russell Wilson threw for 388 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kyler Murray threw for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is a tough one. But I think that I'm going to go. No, I know I'm going to go with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks in this game. Has nothing to do with home field, nothing at all. I really feel like the more veteran coach, the veteran coaching staff, and Russell Wilson himself are going to somehow, some way get this done. Granted, the Seahawks defense is really, really bad. The Cardinals defense isn't bad, but it ain't good either, okay? So I believe that both quarterbacks will be able to take advantage of the respective defenses that they're going against. I believe the difference in the game may possibly be that Chris Carson is coming back from injury for the Seahawks. And I don't think they're going to give him a full workload, but I said the same thing about Aaron Jones with Green Bay, and the guy carried the ball like 20-something times. So if Carson comes back and he's 100%, I think that may make the difference. I really do. And I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one.
Well, the only question I have about what you said is that you were saying that the Arizona Cardinals defense is not good. I think when you're ranked 8th, you're at least considered good. You made me not.
That's 8th in points against.
Right, exactly. That's
okay.
how I look at defense. I mean, who's giving
okay, and you're playing the most prolific offense out there.
Well, that's true. That's true. You are. So you got the number 1 offense against the number 8 defense. But that ain't bad. Number 8 ain't bad. So that's the only reason I'm saying now. The one thing that they do that is going against them is they lost Corey Peters, their defensive tackle. So he's out, and so that we'll have to see how that affects it. And you're right. If Seattle can get that run game going, it opens up everything and takes a lot off of Russell Wilson. So
yeah, time of possession is very important when you're playing against Kyler Murray, because he can bang you with a multiple big splash plays. So you really want to hang on to the ball, have nice long drives, cash them in at the end, touchdown, field goal, whatever you have to do to make it tough for him to come back. As evidenced last week with the Hail Murray. You got to put some distance between yourself and Kyler Murray, or you're going to be in trouble.
Man, let me tell you something. I think did I text you on that play? That play was crazy. I know I put something out on social media after I saw that play. It was like, who else did we see do something like that in Seattle? Aaron
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers did it a
Rodgers.
couple of times.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. That was very Aaron Rodgers-ish, of him. All right. Next up. .1 bias plus score between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cleveland Browns favors the Eagles. .1.
Okay, I hope you're not considering this an intriguing game because it's .1.
No, this isn't.
Oh, okay.
Wait. It was in the running though. It was in the running because if you think about it, the Eagles are getting people back, and yes, they've been somewhat stinking it up, but obviously Cleveland hasn't really been tearing it up because Philly ranks 21st in net points and Cleveland ranks 24th. So Cleveland's got a lot of work to do. You're talking about the 24th ranked offense of Philly against the 26th ranked defense of Cleveland, and the 18th ranked defense of the Eagles against the 16th ranked offense of Cleveland. So very balanced. And so it makes it interesting, somewhat intriguing, but no, this isn't it. Who do you got?
Well, I'm going to go with the Browns, and I'm going to tell you why. It's pretty simple. Last week, Nick Chubb came back off of IR, ran 19 times. So much for bringing guys back slow again, by the way. Comes out right off of IR, runs 19 times for 120 yards and a score. Kareem Hunt, right behind him, 19 carries for 104 yards. Okay? When they're running like that, you don't have to worry too much about Kyler Murray messing anything up. Unfortunately for the Eagles, they are very dependent on Carson Wentz not messing things up, which they have been doing. You said people are coming back. Yeah, they're back. They were back last week, and they lost to my New York Football Giants. I have no faith in the Eagles in this game. It may be a good game. I'm not going to say it won't be a good game. I'm not going to say it won't be challenging for the Browns, but I expect them to pull out the victory.
All right, going with the Browns, going against the bias. That's your that's two straight. You starting off against the bias.
I'm cooking, bro. I'm cooking. Let's go.
All right, just don't get cooked. That's what.
All right, see now, don't take that 80% too far either.
Hey, look, I'm humble, man. You know what happened right after I hit 100%, I turned around and went under 50 the next week.
There you go. There you go.
That brought me right back to earth. Okay. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints, led by one Jameis Winston. Bias plus score 6.4 favors the Saints, but most of that bias was built by Drew Brees. Who do you have here?
Okay, this is always a good game. Prolific offenses. Well, the Saints haven't been as prolific as normal, but Matt Ryan is really dialed in. He's been dialed in all season. As far as I know, he's still at the top as far as passing yardage is concerned. They're coming off a bye, and they should have a healthy Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. So he's got his main targets healthy, Gurley scoring, and Matt Ryan is basically on fire, and he has been since the start of the season. I don't think he's had a bad passing game yet, or anything that can be considered really a bad passing game. As far as the Saints are concerned, Alvin Kamara's been dialed in pretty much too, and that's a good thing, especially with Drew Brees being injured and Jameis Winston on deck. Kamara only rushed 8 times last week for 15 yards, but he scored twice on the ground thanks to the 49ers and their turnovers, okay? But he also caught seven passes for 83 yards, where he's really even more dangerous. You get him the ball in open space, the man's almost impossible to tackle. And he had another score through the air too. The X factor in this game will probably be Mike Thomas. after he's got a couple games under his belt now and he starts to get better. I believe, and now they're being a little coy about who's going to start at quarterback. I believe it'll probably be Jameis Winston because he's the one really true quarterback. On top of the fact that Taysom Hill is so important to them doing so many other things, that starting him at quarterback actually detracts from them a little bit. So I believe they'll go with Jameis. I believe they'll keep it somewhat conservative, but Drew's been pretty conservative this year anyway, so it doesn't make that much difference. They should be able to do pretty much the same things that they've been doing, and I believe that they will pull out the victory.
Well, I have to agree with you in terms of Jameis, because if it wasn't going to be Jameis, then they wouldn't have brought Jameis in last week.
I mean, that was the plan anyway, right?
So, and that's what they did with Teddy. They brought Teddy in, and they, so Taysom Hill was there then also. So Taysom Hill is this, the Swiss Army knife, and I think they're going to keep him in that situation as long as they can. Okay, so going with New Orleans, going with the bias. Sounds like a winner to me there, buddy. All right, let's see what we have here coming up next. How many wins has Burrows had this season? Maybe one?
2, I believe.
He's had 2?
Yes, sir.
All right, so it's the Bengals visiting the Washington football team. Bias plus score 2.6 favors those Bengals. You think he can get number 3?
Well, let me say this. It's good to see Alex Smith back on the field. And it's crazy because, I was happy to see him back on the field. Every time he's under pressure, I cringe a little bit. I worry, about that leg that he had so much trouble with. And then the guy comes out and he throws for a career high 390 yards last week. Granted, it was against the Lions, but a career high after what this guy's been through, I think that's great. He may never do it again, but it's okay because Washington has a pretty good running game with Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. So that kind of keeps the pressure off of him. He's got somebody to dump it to when McKissick is in the game, and McKissick is not a bad guy running from scrimmage, and Antonio Gibson's having a really good season. Now, Joe Burrow took his lumps last week against the Steelers. He only had 213 passing yards and 1 touchdown. He was sacked 4 times. Could have been more. He got out of a few of them, but he didn't commit any turnovers, so that was a good thing. I'm still loving Joe Burrow. I'm still very impressed with him. And he gets running back Joe Mixon back this week, which who they've been missing quite a bit. But the Washington defense, and let's face it, the team is much maligned, but the Washington defense is pretty good against the run, and they have a really good pass rush. And part of the reason I believe that Burrow had so much trouble last week was because who they play last week? The Steelers. Because the Steelers threw multiple defensive looks at him, which is what you want to do against a rookie quarterback, and especially against a rookie quarterback that's having some success. And it seemed to really bother him, as evidenced by the 4 sacks and all the hurries. So I believe that Washington will try to do the same thing. They will bring heavy pressure. They will make him throw before he wants to, and maybe off his back foot. Maybe they get a turnover or 2. I'm liking Washington for this one. I really am. I believe that Washington will beat the Bengals. The NFC East is about to get crazy, bro. NFC East is about to get crazy.
I can see it. I can see it. I mean, you're on a roll here. And the thing that's interesting about the Cincinnati is both offensively and defensively, they're ranked 20th. So they have the same ranking.
Both? That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, now offensively, they're averaging 24.2 points a game, and defensively, they're giving up 26.8. So this is one of those games where both teams is in the negative net points. So we're talking about negative net points here. But you're right. Washington defense is ranked 11th in points allowed, but their offense is ranked 30th. So that's
right.
where, but now what you're saying with Alex Smith, if they come back as a more highly functioning offensive team, then yeah, they could have a shot at taking this. So we shall see. The bias, however, is against them in this one. So at 2.6, not a big number. Not a big number. We got much bigger numbers in the games ahead. So let's see who else we got here. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, I think this is an interesting game. It's not my intriguing game of the week, but you got two teams who I don't think they're that far apart, I think is what I'm thinking. Bias plus score 4.1 favors the Panthers. And, the Detroit Lions, well, they've had what? Who did they play last week? That's a question.
The Panthers played, didn't they lose to Tampa Bay?
I mean the Lions. Did I say the Panthers?
Oh, the Lions got blown out by.
Actually the Detroit Lions beat the Washington team by 3. Wait a minute. What am I? Yeah.
No.
That's when Alex Smith threw his 390. That was against Detroit.
Oh, but Detroit won the game.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. DeAndre Swift, Marvin Jones.
Got it.
With a
Got it. I forgot. DeAndre had a nice game. Yes, he did.
So, all right. Panthers are favored. Who's been favoring?
Ooh. So both QBs coming in with injuries, but both QBs are expected to play. Matt Stafford has a partially torn tendon in the thumb of his throwing hand, but he is expected to play. However, number one wide receiver Kenny Golladay is still out. There's a possibility that he may practice tomorrow in a limited fashion, and if he can get in at least another limited practice on Friday, there's a possibility that he may play, but they surely do miss him. Now, the good thing is DeAndre Swift from St. Joe Prep here in Philly is playing pretty well. He's actually starting to find his legs and gain some yardage, and he's looking pretty good. Teddy Bridgewater has a mild MCL sprain in his knee, but he's going to try to play through it, supposedly. I believe he had a limited practice today. So if he can do that again tomorrow and Friday, there's a good chance that he will play. Now, if he does not play, we may see Temple alum and XFL MVP PJ Walker at quarterback. Not that I don't want to see PJ Walker play, but I hope Bridgewater's all right. But if he's not and he can't go, we might get the PJ Walker show, and then we'll see if he can translate his XFL success, or at least some of it, to the NFL. No Christian McCaffrey. He's going to sit this one out, but Mike Davis should have a good day. The Lions defense is not good against the run. They're not good against the pass. They're not really good against anything. So I'm taking the Panthers.
Yeah, Lions defense is ranked 28th in points allowed. They're giving up 30 points a game. So you're absolutely right on that. Okay, so you are going with the Panthers and the bias. All righty. Next up, well, this one, it'll be an upset. It'll be an upset even if it's competitive. I do believe we have the largest bias plus score of the weekend at 19.1 favoring the Steelers. So you're going to go against this bias, buddy?
Nah, this one's easy. Got to take the Steelers. The Jaguars lost 24-20 to Green Bay last week, and it was a really valiant effort. Mr. Luton didn't have a great day, but he put in good work. Robinson, the running back, had a decent day. They kept it somewhat competitive, but Green Bay was never really threatened, and the Steelers won't be threatened at all. Take the Steelers.
Yeah, Steelers are coming in with the fourth ranked defense and the fifth ranked offense. Jacksonville's coming in with the 26th ranked offense, 31st ranked defense. So the numbers are what they are. Okay, next up we have Titans at Ravens. Now, this I did check off as a possible intriguing game at a bias plus score of 6.
When you say
Ravens,
possible, does that mean you haven't decided yet?
No, doesn't mean that.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking.
Just meant that when I was looking at the potentials, this was on the potential list.
Okay, all right.
You got two powerhouses, man, but what the heck's going on, with the Ravens, and even Tennessee. I mean, you're looking at the 7th ranked offense of Tennessee against the 1st ranked defense of Baltimore relative to points. Okay, so Tennessee has their, and I'm sure you'll tell us about the rushing and all of that, but Tennessee has the 16th ranked defense, and Baltimore still has the 8th ranked offense. So, Baltimore, gets the favor, not by a whole lot. 6 is, a decent number. Multiply that times the 10 games before it, so that'd be a gross number, net points of about 60. But still in all, it's not exactly the Pittsburgh-Jacksonville game. You got two pretty good teams here, and that's the thing. You got good teams here. So I'm interested to see how this is going to turn out. 6 is not a big number. What do you have?
Well, I hear you saying I heard you use the word powerhouses and two really good teams and all that, but they've each had their struggles. So they both seem to be trying to get back on track to similar situations as they had in the previous season. Now, the Titans started off the season 5-0, but since then, they've lost 3 of their last 4. And last week was Ryan Tannehill's worst game to date. Now, Derrick Henry had a good game. And as long as he's on the team, that makes the Titans a tough out. But Baltimore's defense is top 10 versus the run, which may probably at least slow Derrick Henry down. I don't think anybody can stop him. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. But I believe that's what they'll try to do. They will try to contain him, and they will bank on Tannehill staying in the funk that he's in, and Baltimore should win this game. Also, the Titans defense has been burned on the ground and through the air in the last few games. They're having a lot of problems too. Even though Lamar Jackson is not having his greatest year passing, I believe between him and Ingram and J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, they're just going to run the Titans into the ground. I really think so. And also Andrews, the tight end for Baltimore, has also begun to get targets now. He's kind of Lamar's security blanket. So I think that's going to be a little bit too much for the Titans. So I'm going to take the Ravens.
Going with the bias, going with the Ravens. All right, that's going to be a good game now. I'm looking forward to this particular game. I mean, let's face it. They might not be, super teams, but they're pretty good. Speaking of running them into the ground, Patriots found a run game last week. Tell us about it. They're favored by 0.8. Small, but yet they are favored against the Patriots. And again, you have a situation where you've got the two different mobile quarterbacks, slightly different styles. Cam seems to be finding his Patriot way.
Yes, he is. In fact, we just got finished talking about Baltimore, and Cam Newton beat Baltimore last week. Mm-hmm. He managed his way through the game, You know, he didn't throw a lot of passes. He didn't throw for a lot of yardage. He did score on the ground, and he did throw one. But again, the key, no turnovers. So between Cam being a little bit more efficient and the game plans being tailored to keep him safe and try to keep the ball on the ground with Damian Harris and Rex Burkhead, they seem to have found a winning formula up there in New England, and that's a good thing. Now, Deshaun Watson, I really feel bad for Deshaun Watson. He's thrown 30 passes or more in every single game but one this season, and they only have 2 wins. It's really sad. It doesn't matter if they have to throw the ball because they're falling behind or they're throwing the ball because that's their strength. It doesn't really matter. These guys cannot manufacture wins. The defense is far too weak, and the offense lacks explosion, having traded away Hopkins. Fuller's doing his best. They just don't have it. Take the Patriots. Cam should have a real good day.
Going with the bias. I can see it. I can see it. And like I said, Cam looks like he's learning that Patriot way. He's getting those short to medium passes, getting them out. He's somewhat on target for the most part. And they have a running back now. They seem like they've got somebody that they can lean on a little bit. They were killing the left side of that line last week, man.
Yeah, they found something and they stuck with it. And then that's what
crushing. All right. Speaking of crushing, the Dolphins at the Broncos. Look at the Dolphins with the 14.5 bias plus score in their favor. Look at the Dolphins. Tua Tagliavola. Did I say it right?
Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa?
No, it looks like tag, but don't say tag. Say tug.
Tagovailoa.
Yeah, Tagovailoa.
I'm getting there. 14.5. And we were, I know I was. It's like, oh, you're gonna put Tua in there over Fitzpatrick. He was doing so good. I heard one analyst was talking about, I think Tua, they saw an additional flexibility, or they saw something in that practice with Tua that really made them confident that he would be successful. And so far, he seems to be, winning their confidence and proving them right, man. I mean, they saw it in practice. We weren't there. So what can I tell you? It's Tua time for sure now.
Yeah, I think actually he's playing better than even they expected him to.
Really?
Early. I think, remember we had the whole debate about this is a terrible time to bring him and bench Fitzgerald. They were doing so well and they were winning games and it looked like they were going to contend for the division, and this might not be the right time to bring in a rookie and we're not sure. But I tell you what, he hasn't missed a beat. He hasn't missed a beat. Now, a lot of it has to do with the Miami defense too, but the guy hasn't missed a beat, man. He's looked really, really good. So now that we talked about Tua, let's talk about Drew Lock. This guy has strained cartilage or whatever around his rib cage. But I read that he practiced and he is going to attempt to play. If he cannot play, we will have, I forgot his first name, Mr. Rippon. Remember him? The nephew of Mark Rippon, who won the Super Bowl with Washington years ago.
Nephew, eh?
Yes. He's played before. He played a game earlier this year when Locke was out. So he's the backup. But anyway, we may see him before this is all over because the Dolphins have a very tough, very man-to-man centric, heavy blitzes all over the place type of defense. I just hope Mr. Locke makes it through the game, but he won't win. Take the Dolphins.
Going with the Dolphins. So he won't make it through the game, man.
No, I'm saying I hope he makes it through the game.
Yeah, okay.
Does or he doesn't, he won't win.
Well, and the Dolphins are forming a habit of returning turnovers for touchdowns. They're really adding to that number on offense. When I looked at them, they are 10th offensively and 5th defensively. Denver's 27th offensively and 22nd defensively. So that kind of tells you who should be favored there. All right. Speaking of who should be favored, your boy Herbert should get his first win of the season. This will be his first, right? Did he win one?
No, I think he won a game, I believe.
Did he get one in already?
Somebody.
They beat. Well, anyway, nice fat 14.5 bias plus score favors the Chargers this week.
Wow. I don't know if that's so much because of the Chargers or so much because of how bad the Jets are. The Chargers defense doesn't scare anybody. They just don't. And that's why Herbert's throwing for all these great numbers and they're still losing because they can't really stop anybody. But the Jets have nothing to offer offensively and their defense is even worse. This is an easy one. Take the Chargers.
Got the Chargers going with the bias on that. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. So when I look at those two teams just quickly, the Chargers, the Jets are pretty much last. They're last on offense, they're 27th on defense. Chargers are at least 17th on offense and 21st on defense. So, at the very least, they've got some type of climb going with them. All right, what do we have here next? Packers at Colts.
Oh, we have a push.
Ding, 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 ding. Intriguing game of the week.
I was going to say this has to be. There's no way that this is not the intriguing game of the week. 0.000.
Favors none. I wasn't even sure what to put there. I'm like, nobody? Not applicable?
Yeah, it's a push. Doesn't favor anybody.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, holy mackerel. Let's see here. We have Green Bay coming in third on offense, playing the Indianapolis Colts, who are coming in third on defense. So that third means that the Packers are scoring 31, but the Colts only giving up 20 average for both of them. Now, wait, check this out. The Colts have the 15th ranked offense.
Okay.
Green Bay has the 17th ranked defense.
Okay. Yeah. And Green Bay's defense has been climbing. Green Bay's defense is getting better.
Now, what that meant then was that when you looked at the favor on the net point side, it came to 0.1 favoring the Packers. And when you looked at the turnover differential bias, it came to 0.1 favoring Indianapolis.
Right.
There go, 0.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. You can't ask for anything more than that. That's great.
Had to go with it.
So the bias can't pick anybody, but I can. So I just want to say now, Aaron Rodgers is about to play the Colts. And they are probably the toughest defense he's faced this season overall. The Colts also have a pretty well-rounded offense, but they lack any real explosive players. So with the resurgence, I don't know if I want to use the word resurgence, but the improvement of the Green Bay Packers defense going against the Colts, who have a good offense, but like I said, they lack explosive plays and players. Again, Phillip Rivers still doing the game manager thing. They move the ball. They have good schemes and all that, but they really, really depend on their defense. Even though this will be the toughest defense Aaron Rodgers has faced so far this season, in fantasy, the words mean he can't be stopped. Okay, he can't be stopped. He's matchup proof. That's what I was looking for. Matchup proof.
That's the word, eh?
So,
matchup proof.
Yes. So yeah, those are fantasy words. matchup proof is what Aaron Rodgers is. So I believe that the Packers will win this game. I believe that Aaron Rodgers will do just enough to get them over the hump. And I think that the Green Bay defense will be key in this game, keeping the Colts offense under control and not letting them pick and slow the game down. They're going to need turnovers to do it. They're going to need some turnovers. They're going to need some 3 and outs. I think they can achieve that, And once Aaron gets on the field and goes to work, we'll see. He gets a receiver back that he's been missing, Lazard. Lazard comes back off of IR. Lazard was the number 2 behind Devontae Adams when the season started, and they were doing really well together. And although Devontae Adams has just been holding his own, he's holding up the whole receiving game by himself. Having Lazard back is going to be a big deal. And the tight end Tanyan is still there too. I believe that's enough weapons for Aaron to get this one done.
All right. Well, you get a chance to have conjecture and opinion, which we don't have with the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. No conjecture, no opinion in terms of these numbers. Next up, speaking of conjecture, the Cowboys. I think Andy's coming back. And the Vikings, my favorite whipping boy is having a pretty decent season now that he's got a super duper run game going. So the Bias Plus score of 8.5 favors the Vikings. Makes sense. You going against that or what?
No, I'm not going against that. I'm going to go with the Vikings. The Cowboys defense has no answer at all for Dalvin Cook. Zero, nothing. If he doesn't run for another 200 yards in this game, I'll be very disappointed. And the great thing is that opens things up for attacking their weak secondary also. So you take Dalvin Cook plus Adam Thielen plus Justin Jefferson, and the fact that once we get, even before the score gets up, when your defense can't really pressure the passer, then that makes a guy like Kirk Cousins look really good. And I think the numbers will be fantastic for the Vikings. Fantasy-wise, if you have Zeke Elliott on your team, I would say go ahead and play him unless you have like a Dalvin Cook or Nick Chubb or somebody else who has pretty much a foolproof matchup. Go ahead and play Zeke because the Vikings' run defense is not that great, and he should get pretty good numbers. But I don't think it'll be enough to help Dallas win the game because they have to score touchdowns. If they don't score touchdowns, it's not going to do them any good. Now, Andy Dalton coming back means that this could actually be a good game for maybe a quarter and a half. But after that, it's all over. Vikings way too punishing on offense for Dallas's weak defense.
Yeah, the 12th ranked offense against the 32nd ranked defense. So that's going to be a problem. I don't care how you look at it. And Dallas needs to try to stay in the race. So they might have a sense of desperation at the very least. Okay, a lot of people are touting this as a revenge game because the Raiders beat the Chiefs in their last meeting and looked to make Mahomes look like an earthling instead of an alien like he normally looks like, doing what he wants. But the Bias Plus score is not favoring the Raiders. The Chiefs are favored 14.2, which is a nice, healthy number. So, and that I do believe is the Sunday night game. So we will get a chance to watch this one up close and in person. Who do you got?
Well, so let's go back to week 5 when these two teams met and the Raiders pulled off let's face it, the upset. Back in week 5, the matchup was in Kansas City, I believe. Yes, it was in Kansas City, and it was a barn burner. Now, Derek Carr was 22 of 31 for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes was 30 of 45 for 372 yards and 4 touchdowns. This is tough if you just look at that. But what I would like to say along with that is between then and now, even though this game's going to be in Las Vegas, the Chiefs' defense has actually gotten better. I don't think that the Raiders' defense has gotten any better. I think they're probably, if you went back in the power rankings and looked week by week, I don't think they've moved very much. And I don't know, I could be wrong, but I'm just thinking that just off the eye test from watching them play.
Well, off of the numbers test, you got the second-ranked offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. Las Vegas is coming in 24th on defense.
Right.
24th. They're giving up 28 points a game. Kansas City scoring 31, almost 32 points a game. So Kansas City should be able to stay on.
Was much lower. Where's Kansas City defense right now as far as points against?
6.
There you go. Now, they weren't up there early in the season. They had some high scoring games. They were winning, but the games were high scoring. So as far as points against is concerned, they weren't up there. They've started to get better at that. And that's going to be the difference in the game. Now, the only glitch in this could be that Josh Jacobs, again, let's go back to week 5. Josh Jacobs ran 23 times for 77 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. But Hilaire only ran 10 times for 40 yards and did not find the end zone. I believe what happened in that game was Andy Reid said, oh, these boys want to punch it out with us. Let's go. He dropped the run game, which he has been known to do in the past, and went pass heavy. Okay, Mahomes threw 40 passes in that game. And the Raiders were able to control the time of possession just enough to hold on to the lead and grind it out at the end. That's not going to happen this time. Chiefs will win the game. Hilaire will have more carries. He will have more yards. The Chiefs defense may not be able to hold down Jacobs, but they did pretty well the first time. He didn't break 100 yards. He did score. If they can do that same kind of job on him, I take Mahomes over Derek Carr any day of the week.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get too much pushback on that one. Mahomes is that out-of-the-world guy. So going with the bias, Kansas City on a Sunday night in Las Vegas. At least you know the weather's not going to be cold and rainy and all of that. Well, it might be rainy, but you don't even get too much of that out in the desert. So Vegas is Vegas, man. No doubt about it. All right. That wraps up the weekend. We move into the Monday night special. Now, this also was in the running for intriguing game of the week.
This is my intriguing game.
This is your intriguing game?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 0.9 is not much, but it favors the Buccaneers in this particular game. Buccaneers are coming in ranked 9th offensively, but the Rams are actually ranked 2nd in defense in terms of points given up. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to see how the Rams defense handles this Tampa Bay situation. But Tampa Bay is ranked 9th defensively, and the Rams are ranked 22nd on offense. So they're only scoring 24, and Tampa Bay is only giving up 22. So if they stay true to form, Buccaneers, but not by a lot, according to this.
Ooh, man, this is a tough one. Do me a favor. Take a quick look at turnover differential for these two teams.
The Rams are coming in 20th at minus 0.2, and the Tampa Bay Bucs are coming in 5th at 0.6, a plus 0.6.
Wow. Yeah. Okay,
So
let me tell you this. I have my notes and I have the reports and I look at everything, and I pretty much, before we even start to do this, the video here, I already have noted who I think is going to win the games. Funny, this was the last game on our chart. It's the Monday night game, and it's my most intriguing game. And one of the reasons why it's my most intriguing game was I could not decide who to pick in this game. I will now, but to this point, I had not decided. It's all about defense in this one. Both teams are good against the run and the pass. One a little better than the other in one a little better than the other in the other. And you just noted the turnover differential. The turnover differential, I think, may be the answer to my question as far as who I'm going to pick. Just hearing that, and I looked at the chart that you sent me, but I didn't really study it as far as turnovers were concerned for these two teams. So you telling me that has helped me make up my mind. I mean, both quarterbacks haven't been stellar. Brady's had his problems. He's had some great games. He's had some stinkers. Goff is nowhere near what he was, when he came out firing and they went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And neither team has a really outstanding ground game either. Like, there's not a whole lot to go on. So I'm going to hang my hat on the turnover differential, and I'm going to take the Buccaneers.
Okay. That makes sense. Going with the bias in this particular point. All right. Well, now, yes. That wraps up the Bias Plus reports as we look at the matchups for Week 11. Any last words before we move into the commentary section?
No, I'm looking forward to a better week than I had last week. That was kind of embarrassing, man. I mean, let's face it. Even what's your girl on the network, Cynthia Freeland?
Cynthia Freeland.
Yeah, even Cynthia Freeland is hoovering in the 60s, 70%. So I don't feel that bad when I get up there. But when I'm down around 50%, I don't feel good about that. My football knowledge, and I'm not bragging on myself, okay, but my football knowledge is better than that. All right. So, yeah, I feel bad. I'm embarrassed, and I'm looking to rebound this week.
All right. I hear you. Way to stay resilient. And see, I got the numbers. I don't have to claim any
right.
particular genius.
You leave
it is what it is.
Conjecture up to me.
Yeah, I leave all the conjecture up to you. So, if you can conjecture your way up to the 70, 80 percentile, then we'll definitely put that genius hat on you at that particular point, So, all right. Well, as we move away from the Bias Plus report and get ready to move toward the finish, we only have a couple of things that I want to mention. These are a couple of pieces of information that are on our Facebook page. Hey, look at that guy right there.
Whoa, who's that?
Looks just like you.
Yeah.
Let's just take a moment. This article is not really about the catch. DeAndre Hopkins had said that he thinks that the receivers should get the yardage when the ball gets moved on a defensive penalty like pass interference. So that's his thoughts on it. And I had never really, looked at it from that perspective. But I mean, you get a pass interference on a 50-yard bomb and they move that ball 50 yards. The receiver's not getting those yardage, So
nobody's getting it.
Nobody's getting it.
It's penalty yardage.
Right. So he thinks he should get it.
So what's he going to say when oh no, I was going to say when a quarterback takes a sack, that's minus yardage. That comes off of his totals. Doesn't come off of his passing yardage, but it is a minus. Tackles for loss count. Gee, so does he go into depth about how he came around with this, or he just decided that's what he thinks should happen?
I think this came up in the after game interviews or something like that.
Okay, so he didn't go into detail and say
didn't go into detail.
why.
Yeah, you're trying to analyze the entire picture, but I thought it was interesting. But what I really wanted to just show his picture again for was the amazing play last week between Kyler Murray and Newt. It was one of those plays, as we said earlier in the show, that was Aaron Rodgers-ish. And he also said that he knew he was going to catch that ball.
Well, he's supremely confident anyway, so I'm not surprised at that at all. I'm not surprised at all.
But he knew he was going to catch that ball, man. I'm like, okay, man, not bad, not bad, So congratulations on that. That was that might be the play of the year. When they look back at this year's plays, that could be the play of the year. But we still have some football yet to go here. One of the plays last week that came up was Nick Chubb deciding to run out of bounds. And he did the right thing in terms of, well, number one, that's what they told him to do. Don't score. He didn't expect to go breaking off. I think he expected to get the first down, and then the clock would start to run out. But next thing he knows, he's headed for the goal line with nobody in front of him. And he has to make that change in the running back's mind when your mind has been developed all your life to get into that end zone. And he just veered off, out of bounds. And everybody was like, well, first of all, the as you said, the fantasy guys, you can talk about how something like that affects fantasy.
Oh.
But it definitely affected the gamblers. But all I was thinking was, why did you run out of bounds? They didn't have any timeouts. You take a knee and you kill that much more of the clock instead of running out of bounds. And I was so glad to hear in this interview that he said that exact same thing.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Again, runs out of bounds, stops and takes a knee, scores the touchdown. I believe they'd come away with the win either way. But because they told him not to score, they were thinking ahead, which was smart. I'm trying to figure out, and maybe, here's a favor you can do for me. You got the all 22, right?
You're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. Can you take a look at the all 22 for me and tell me how a running back takes a handoff or pitch out or whatever it was, starts to run laterally, bounces it outside, and turns the corner and runs up the sideline, and not near a DB is anywhere nearby to attempt to make a tackle? Where were they? Where were they? The vantage point that they give you, from the game video simply shows him, and he was really close to the sideline, so you don't see anything or any parts of the middle of the field. I'm trying to figure out where these other dudes were at.
Well,
he basically ran down there totally uncontested. Yeah.
Almost, and it reminds me of the Tampa Bay run that went 90-some yards.
That's different. That was up the middle. He broke.
Well, the reason I say that is because both teams, I believe, compressed to stop the run. So everybody's kind of pushed up by the line of scrimmage. And once you get by the line of scrimmage, you're kind of past the secondary automatically because they're so compressed. I'll look at the 22 and see if that's what happened. But yeah, he did run more laterally, and you catch the right block and you turn it up. And again, he was out. So, but like I said, for all you Madden guys and for all you players that are in that situation, if they tell you don't score, we want to kill the clock, don't run out of bounds.
Right.
Every Madden player knows that. Speaking of Madden, Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
they're going to play Madden instead of playing a game, which you and I don't like the Pro Bowl anyway.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'd rather watch this Madden thing, and I'm not even a Madden guy. but I do watch the Madden tournaments when they come on television, and I enjoy them. So this will be fun. So now when the coaches draft, because they were doing a draft for the Pro Bowl before, right? So
they were assigning somebody as the coach,
right, or the coach
prime time or somebody like that, and then he got to pick his team.
Yeah, and they would pick the team. So I'm wondering if they're going to do something like that again, because now they're going to have to do their research and find out who are real good Madden players, because not all these NFL guys are that good. A lot of them are, because let's face it, when they're not working out and they're not in the facility going to meetings or practicing, they're playing Madden. Like, they don't, you know what I mean? They're young guys and they love to play Madden. But I know there's quite a few of them that are probably really, really good. And there are some that are okay. So
you're right. And that I remember going, let's say, go back maybe 2 or 3 years, when the Madden championships, the tournaments, they had a bus of Madden players that were going around the country, and they would stop at an NFL player's house.
Yes.
Play them. And they usually beat the NFL player.
That's right.
They usually beat them. But recently I was watching, and they were playing NFL player against NFL player. And these guys, seem to have upped their game a little bit. So a young guy like
there's
Kyler
a couple
Murray,
guys that are real. There's a couple guys that's really good. And I watch that too, kind of off and on. So I can't quite remember who was really a top player, but I remember whoever he was also a top trash talker too. I mean, this guy was talking. Oh, I can't remember who the heck it was. It'll come back to me. I might be able to find it on demand and look back at it. But I say that to say, whoever's picking the teams for this virtual Madden Pro Bowl better start doing their homework.
You're freezing up just a little bit, but let me say this. It's interesting when you think about the players play Madden, but the coaches don't.
Right, but they don't usually the real coaches don't choose the players. They have like honorary captains. So it'd be like Primetime versus Ed Reed.
Oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, just the thought that an NFL coach who does not play the game, what that would do if he actually now plays the game, or maybe even because of this, focuses in on the game. I can see a Cliff Kingsbury watching a Madden tournament, and it's like, wait a minute, that's an idea.
Oh, no way.
Hey, certain things you can learn from the game. I always said, it's about the game.
I've seen a guy on YouTube run the air raid offense in Madden.
Did you?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
He's got an air raid offense that he uses when he plays Madden.
Well, send me that link next time you see that.
Okay.
All right. Last but not least on the list, for me anyway, in our page, we have a little history being made here. NFL is going to make history with the first all-black officiating crew. I believe that's going to be Monday night.
That's wonderful.
Isn't that nice?
It's wonderful. And I don't believe this is a forced thing either. I believe that all these guys have earned their way, and they now have enough qualified black officials that are really good that they could actually put together an all-black crew without a problem. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
You kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit. I went into the article because they listed all of the refs and how long they've played. So number one, I hope you can see that. Let me see if I can make it a little larger in terms of being able to see it, maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice.
That's good.
Yes.
So as you can see, you've got your referee with 17 seasons under his belt. Umpire has 14 seasons. The down judge has 12. The line judge has 17. The least seasons you've got here are your side judge with 8 and your field judge with 3. Your back judge has 18 years. So these guys have more than paid their dues.
They are veterans.
More than paid their dues.
And look at the HBCUs, bro.
That was my next point, man. HBCUs up the yin yang here. I looked up Nickel State just to see if the line judge, if that was an HBCU, does not look like one. So
no, I don't
that
think
might be the one of the few. And Allegheny, that's all they had there. So I didn't
that's
know
okay.
what Allegheny was.
That's okay.
But yeah, you look at Allegheny.
Morehouse, Grambling, and Howard.
Man.
I'll take that.
And I believe NC State is too. I do believe that.
No.
No? North Carolina State's not?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. You're the college guy here.
Would be North Carolina A&T.
Well, that's one. No doubt about that one. But in any event, yeah, congratulations, all black officiating crew in week 11. That's historic. And
which game? Monday night?
I do believe it's the Monday night game.
Oh, that's excellent, man. That's excellent.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. All right. That wraps up what I have. Any last words from you?
Only last words I got is go Noles.